Welcome to Serenity Wealth Now with Chris Cooper. This is not your typical financial radio show. As a licensed CPA, insurance agent, and investment advisory representative, Chris coaches his clients on a holistic view of financial well-being with an objective of providing a complete financial strategy to fund life's goals. Chris is here to guide you down the path to the financial serenity you deserve. Now, here's Chris Cooper.
All right. Good morning, folks. I am pretty excited about today's show because today I get to sit across from one of my very good friends, Chris Caplinger. We're going to call him Cap, and he's going to call me Coop. You're going to hear it all day. So we can't even ignore it. We are very good friends. We've known each other for years. So just so you know, the pretense of this discussion is going to be maybe some making fun of each other from time to time.
Just be a little bit.
Just probably. Yeah. How are you, Cap?
I'm great.
Yeah.
How are you, Coop?
I'm good, buddy. So Cap is a serial software entrepreneur, and he is, ever since I've known him, he has been involved in multiple software organizations, always entrepreneurial in nature. And quite frankly, I'm only telling you this on air for my audience to hear. I would never say this outside of this because you're my buddy, but I should say it more often, probably. You've given me a lot of inspiration in my journey to get out there and join the independent entrepreneurial space as well.
Oh, that's awesome. You're going to make me cry.
I know. See, that's why I didn't want to tell you. It took me going on, you coming on my radio show for that to happen. Look, if you don't make fun of with your best friends, like you're missing out on life, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's, I think, how it works.
Yeah. And and I was always trying to encourage you. I mean, that was part of the thing. I watched you all the time going, this guy needs his own business. He does not like the corporate runaround.
Oh, well, it hurt for a long time. And it took a while for me to understand that and come to that conclusion, because you have to get there yourself, right? Every business owner does.
100%.
Now, was there ever a time where you were employed by other people?
Oh, yeah. I mean, on and off my whole life. And
yeah.
In fact, as we'll get into, I'm sure as we talk, is really when I sold my last company, I worked there for several years.
Yeah. And I know how that was not you either. You know,
it wasn't bad at first. And then when you really realize you have no control and no power and you really can't make a change, it really stinks.
And that's who you are.
Right.
It's in your DNA. And I say it all the time is, at this point in my life, I could probably get any job I wanted. I'd interview it for it. I'd knock it out and you'd probably want to hire me. But the next day, I'd either get fired or I'd quit.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's just the way it is. Once you are used to your own situation, it's hard to look back.
Yeah, and even working for even a small company, a medium-sized company, I get to say, I don't really like to be the boss, but I do want to tell everybody what to do. That
Fair enough.
Sense.
Yeah, no, I get it. So, all right. So some cool things about you here, Cap. So you've also done some fairly competitive, you're a very competitive mountain biker. So we ride a lot of bikes. So for those of you watching our podcast, you can see we've got our bike club hats on today. So everyone that rides bikes with a bunch of friends should have bowling jerseys that you ride in every time, and cool paraphernalia hats that just are part of your everyday dress wardrobe. It just makes sense. So that's the kind of people we are. So it's fun. We have a little bike club thing, and we tag all over the place and put stickers on trails and all kinds of stuff, unless it's not allowed, because we would not do things that aren't allowed.
Never.
Yeah. But we have a lot of fun because at the end of the day, we're 40, 50-year-old people that ride bikes for fun, and that's okay.
Yeah, I'm like that you say 50. Let's just assume that I'm closer to 50 than the other number. I like that.
Fair enough. Well, I'm in the 40s, so, we've got them all over the place. So that's okay. So, but you also, long time ago, because you are old, sorry. And you used to do some, not just competitive bicycling, you actually started off in a different scheme of riding altogether.
Yeah, I did. Grew up around motorcycles.
Yeah.
Pretty much ever since I can remember, riding and then racing.
Yep.
I think my dad was racing, but when I was born, I'm sure he was already racing.
And you got to spend a lot of time with your father in this time frame too, which is probably, something that you really looking back and like, this was awesome.
Absolutely. I mean, who, and how about this? Who gets to race against their dad at a top level? And that was really cool. Cause I remember the first time I beat him, I thought he was going to be mad at me. Like, oh no, I beat him. He's going to kick my butt.
See, and there's a different thing with our kids with competition. We want our kids to be better than we are at anything, right? We just do, and that you're always a parent first. You may have lost, but you look at it as winning because you taught your child to be better.
You do. And I didn't really understand that until my kids got older. I never understood going, why did he just he didn't really give up, but I think it became a lot more fun for him to drag me around and help me than it did for himself. And I never understood that until I had kids. Yeah. Then you realize like, oh gosh, it's way more fun.
And I always wonder in the background, because I know what I would do, because rubbing's racing, right? So there's some rubbing going on in the background, right? There's some pushing and pulling, and you're hitting people. That was my Ricky Bobby reference for those that don't remember. But it's a pretty competitive little situation in motocross, and so it's physical. It's not just riding straight line.
And I'll say I didn't switch to motocross till later. I really grew up racing. Back in the day, it was just called enduro racing. Okay, and just racing off road.
But you're still protecting people, right? Like there's still some protecting lines. Because I was thinking your dad could sit back and like make sure, no, you're not catching my son. He's kind of blocking it for you. That's what I'd do.
Yeah, probably not so much of that going on. I mean, once I hit 16, I was we pretty much the level elevated pretty much. He was done. So there wasn't a lot of us really racing that close together. I mean, for a few months, but when you're a kid, you accelerate fast.
Right.
And knowing now as an old dude, you decelerate fast. So
yeah, I get that. But so a lot of area events, but you traveled quite a bit too.
Yeah, we did. That was kind of the thing that made our family is forget about the racing is really grew up traveling most weekends. Yeah. In a van with a camper. My parents and my sister raced, we just traveled all over, and maybe even it wasn't about racing. It was just riding and being out in the woods and camping and, every weekend with a family. And, we're all still, four of us all still live, close by, and we're close today.
Yeah. Very close still. Right? Yeah, I know that for sure. So, with that, does that also kind of that background and just doing those events, does that kind of change your mindset on what you want to do for a living when you kind of figure out, as a 16-year-old kid, it has to influence you somehow into a career choice?
Yeah. I don't know if it influenced my career choice, but it definitely made you competitive.
Yeah.
I don't like to lose today. I was talking to you about a few deals, when I came in, I'm competitive when it comes to a deal.
You are.
I want to win.
Yeah.
But then the thing is, I think you start to pick and choose.
Sure.
When you were racing, you took on everything, you're a teenager. I'll go anywhere and race anybody.
Right.
I can beat anybody anytime.
Yeah.
Business is a little bit different. You pick your battles.
Yep.
You know which ones you can win. And when you want to win, you really go after it hard. But the worst thing about it, then when you lose, it really hurts because you really focused on something.
Right.
Lost. And that stinks.
Yeah. But I think it does teach you some of that grit, that hard work, that dedication, that competitive drive that you kind of have to have in the entrepreneurial world.
Oh, I think you have to. I can't imagine anybody being successful in business if they weren't competitive.
Yeah. When I talk to a lot of folks, and something that always comes up, and really it's a fundamental foundation that it's always prevalent in the conversations I have, is you've got to go all in. And if you don't go all in and you don't really not just to dip the toe in, but you got to jump in, dive in head first, quite frankly, because you're either going to sink or you're going to swim.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't, it's not a part-time job, starting a business or being an entrepreneur. It's a full-time job. You may have more than one business.
Yeah.
But the combination of them all is a full-time job.
Right.
And and as you know, and you're finding out, it's not Monday through Friday.
No, and it's not. And it also, you can't have that. If you have a safety net or something, that's tough too.
Yeah.
Because your safety net is always that crutch. You almost have to just make sure that, nope, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah. I think I tell myself a lot. I tell myself I'm broke all the time. I even tell Linda, I'll even complain a little bit, because, you're, as you go, I always say cash poor.
Yeah.
There's always times when you're running the business where you're cash poor. You may have, all the money to do anything you want, but you have to kind of look at yourself as cash poor, because if you ever think of yourself as just, cash rich, for me, I won't make good decisions. I'm not a finance person like you are.
Yeah.
I'll make really bad decisions if I just think I have a, big pot of money sitting there for me.
Yeah. So you just said I made great decisions all the time. That's what I'm hearing. That's my takeaway.
Now you could take what you want from that.
Fair enough. No. So he's not giving me a lot of trouble on my show. He's making it very easy on me. I'm going to pay the price later on, I'm sure. But when I make bad decisions all the time. So we ride bikes together a lot, and you are a much better rider than I am. I will always say this. I make a lot of bad decisions on the trail sometimes, So
yeah, well, something comes with, 20 years of off-road riding.
Yeah.
Translates to mountain bikes pretty easily.
Fair enough.
Things come easier because you've done it your whole life.
Yeah. Well, and, repetitive also comes with that too.
Right.
So we're going on a ride after the show, and I'm telling you, I'm nervous because I have not been on the bike very much this year.
Well, we're just going to do a little bit of racing and rubbing and see if,
perfect.
you can take who out.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
There will be no blood.
No problem.
Yeah.
It'll be great.
But here's the great thing, and it's just like business, is all that racing, what you really had to do is when it was over, you had to crack a beer open with whoever you're with and
celebrate.
Enjoy,
Yeah.
If I get beat by somebody in business, the same way, I expect a handshake at the end. I'm not,
right.
Anybody that's going to get mad and be worried about that, they probably shouldn't be an entrepreneur.
No, you're right.
They probably shouldn't race either.
You have to have a short-term memory. And it's unfortunate, right? But not everything comes easy. It always comes a little bit of a challenge, but you have to also celebrate those little wins. And that's why usually when we ride, we get to crack open a little beer and hang out and have some fun right next to the trail.
Right.
It's great. We've met a lot of cool people doing that. We just kind of hang out. So
yeah, we really have.
Yeah.
Well, that's what really kind of got our group going.
That's true too.
We kept running into new people and just kind of grew it, and people we liked to ride with, and found people we didn't like to ride with.
That's okay. And that's the same thing in the business world, right? So, so when you when you started your career, right? Because you couldn't race forever, right? And you were semi-professional on the racing scene, right?
Yeah, it was weird. Off-road racing there really wasn't a professional license to do it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until probably into the 90s where you could actually make some money at it.
Okay.
Which I started doing. But when I did switch.
But the bigger money is usually sponsorship type level stuff.
It
right?
really isn't. Mine really came from contingency. Would be the manufacturer that I raced for would pay depending on how I placed. There really wasn't big purses at the race.
Sure.
You didn't, you always see those pictures of somebody with the giant check.
Yeah.
$1 million. No, that stuff didn't happen.
Oh, I thought you had a bunch of checks you were just no.
Yeah.
All right.
No, I'd show them off. I'd have them here if I had those.
That would be great. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. So obviously you were like, okay, I got to do some things. So you went to school, you figured out you got into software.
Yeah, actually software was by accident. I didn't even go to school for that.
Okay.
I ended up with, taking a bunch of classes.
Yeah.
But, and this is the late 80s, most technology was self-taught.
Right.
There wasn't, not people talk about computer engineering or software engineering, either hardware or software. That stuff didn't really exist. There was a computer science that kind of taught the, a lot of history, a lot of things and fundamentals of what the science is, the science behind it.
Right.
It didn't really teach you how to do it.
Yeah.
Most of that stuff, guys like me, we learned it on our own for the most part.
Yeah. Like, there's a lot of other people like Bill Gates and, Steve Jobs, and they kind of learned it.
Yeah. I'm right there with those guys, Jobs,
I figured.
Gates, Caplinger, they usually, those names usually go right together.
And check it out in Wikipedia, give us a few edits and we can make that happen. So, yeah. So self-taught, but there's a lot of knowledge that comes with entrepreneurial. Now, did you start at a software company or did you just kind of start, building companies?
Well, interesting story on how I started was, I went to school to be a CAD CAM,
a design,
work, but I really wanted to code CAD CAM systems.
Okay.
I wanted to write a lot, so that's what I started learning in school was how to script and things like this around CAD CAM systems. Well, just like any, when you're in school, they always give you this promise how many jobs there are and this and that.
Yeah.
When I got out of school in the 1990, the job market was pretty bad back then. And there really wasn't a job. So I ended up working for the mapping company that did use CAD CAM. But my job was, I shouldn't say it's an awful job. Somebody paid me money to go do something. I was happy with it. So I don't want to ever say anything because, my bosses weren't awful. I mean,
Sure.
They gave me a job. I was really happy to have it, but we taped these old maps to a table. Imagine this. And, today's world, kids out there, listen to this. We took maps from the government. We taped them to a digitizing tablet and we drew the roads with this digitizing mouse looking thing.
Okay.
Because there was no Google Maps. There was no Apple Maps or anything like that.
Yep.
So we had to hand draw the maps for the software that, it was a software company that I worked for. But my job was to draw maps.
Yep.
So I was drawing maps. Well, during that time, as I was doing it, I kept looking for shortcuts.
Yeah.
I kept thinking there's got to be a better way to do, and it was a telephone cabling company. So, and that was the software. So you'd have a road, but then you'd have to draw cables next to it. I thought, well, drawing a cable is really dumb.
Yeah.
There's got to be a way to tell it to put a cable there. So I started scripting it, and over time, figured out how to make all these shortcuts. Well, all of a sudden my productivity went through the roof.
Yeah.
Because, people, why are you,
how are you able to do this so much faster?
I wrote all these scripts to do it.
Yeah.
So when they realized I did all that, they moved me into more of the technology side of things. I worked on the help desk for, this is no joke, maybe 6 months. They had one developer that worked there part-time. He was doing management and other stuff. And then their main developer was a contractor. Guy had a heart attack and died.
Oh my goodness.
Boss comes in one morning, Monday morning or whatever, and says, hey, I don't even remember the guy's name, hey, such and such had a heart attack, passed away over the weekend. He goes, do you think you can do this full time? I just got through racing motorcycles for a living going, darn right I can.
Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%. So I remember this. They said, well, you need an office. So, and we don't have one. So they pointed me to a closet down the room, and of course people are making fun of me going, hey, here's the new kid, going to have to go in the closet. Well,
Yeah.
nobody realized in the back of that closet behind all the stuff was a window. I cleaned that office out. Everything was out. I had a window office by the time that was done. Yeah. So
there you go.
Yeah. Went from being made fun of to had a pretty cool office there.
There you go.
Window, left alone. And became their software developer, ended up becoming the manager. They put a team around me. So that was my first foray into software.
So now you're in software, you get it. And it's really about making life easier, making things more efficient.
That's right.
Right. Which in today's world, that's what we think AI does, right? It's kind of, you were on the precursor of AI. Look at that. How about that? Yeah.
Yeah. AI, it can do anything.
Yeah. Oh, everything, right? We want it to do everything too, don't we? Yeah. And we're joking, of course. AI can't do everything. So, so obviously you realized you wanted to get into more of the entrepreneurial side of things.
Right.
And so started your first company. How long ago was that? That was a long time ago.
Yeah. So I went through some consulting stuff, and ended up probably, it would have been 98. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly when I started my own.
It's okay.
Company.
At some point in time, it's just
it was
20-ish years ago.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. 20, I wish it was this, 25.
Oh, closer to 30. I was running down for you.
Gosh,
you're
nice.
welcome. I'm helping.
Yeah. I'm only 30 years old. So I started when I was 0. Started a consulting company, did that for about a year. Then got together with 3 other guys. 2 of them I used to work for. And they started this other company called Knowledge Lake.
Yeah.
That still exists today, based out of Creve Coeur. Started that in 2000. I sold my part of that in 2013.
Okay.
Started, so I could go start one on my own. Wanted to see if I could do it by myself.
And you started another one.
Yep.
And that one was that the Record Lion?
That was Record Lion.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So that was a company that was really established, electronic record storage. Essentially.
Yeah,
right?
It really wasn't a storage behind it. It was the compliance aspect of it, governance and compliance, making sure that records were kept long enough, destroying them when they shouldn't be there anymore.
Yeah.
E-discovery type things, things are like that. But then, sold that in 2017. So had that for about 3.5 years.
Yeah.
I sold that one.
So there's been a pattern of kind of building something and then selling something. And you've done that a few other times since then as well. In fact, I know one of the times we were sitting at a Super Bowl party watching, was that the Chiefs one? No, it wasn't. It wasn't the Chiefs one. It was I think it was the Bengals Rams one. I don't know. I think it was. No, it was a Chiefs one. I don't know. There's most of them are Chiefs ones these days.
I don't know where you're going here, so I'm not.
When you sold your last one. You sold your last company, and you started working for them for a little while as well. It was somewhere in that February timeframe where those transactions were taking place, and you were taking some phone calls during the game. I remember that.
Probably was. Yeah, because I think I did. I think it was in February that year I sold it, so I was probably doing that. Yeah.
You're like, sorry guys, I got to go take this. So it is what it is. That whole Monday through Friday entrepreneur thing doesn't work.
Yeah. Sunday nights or work nights.
Yeah, sometimes it has to happen, right? Especially when you're looking at some sales and things like that. So. So you did sell that one out to a larger company, right? That needed what you guys did.
Yeah, really, they were a competitor of ours, and I had been eyeing them, kind of hoping that they would be somebody that offered, made us an offer. So we kind of even did some competitive stuff against them.
Yeah.
Made sure that our SEO matched up against them really well. Just,
sure.
kind of looked at, tried to make their life miserable if I could. Because when I did this one here, I didn't take any money. It was all my money. So I knew I was never going to take this thing and grow it with my bank account. I mean, that's just not really doable in software. It's kind of hard to do. So I knew my goal was to sell it, build it and sell it as quick as I could, just to see if I could do it.
Yeah.
So,
and it worked.
It worked. Yeah.
And it came with a job. So this time they hired you on.
Yeah. It came with a job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that worked for you for a little while. I mean, it was okay.
It wasn't bad, but, I'm sure the people I work for were fine people, but I couldn't stand working for any of them.
Yeah.
And really, they were probably great people. I'm sure that, everybody else loved working for them, but I didn't really like working for anybody. So
yeah, well, it's tough. I mean, you'd spent such a long time building something that you had full control over.
Right.
And now all of a sudden you're being asked, you sold it, you're asked to staying on, but it's not the same anymore.
Well, and worse yet, they want you to start operating stuff. And, I'm not an operator.
Yeah.
It's just not who I am at all. So, operations is, it's just miserable to me.
Well, you got to know your skill set. And that's, I think, one of the key things as an entrepreneur, we wear lots of hats, right? Those hats are just things that have to get done. Sometimes we're the CEO of our company. Sometimes we take out the trash and clean up the mess and, become the sales folks and all the other things that come with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm, this company here, one of the things I like in my new one, I'm a doer.
Yeah.
I build a lot of the software myself. It's my passion. It's what I really like to do. So that was part of, hey, I want to do this. I don't want to just operate a company. I can't wait till someday I find somebody else to operate this and I can work for them.
Right.
Still be the boss, but work for them. That'll be fun.
Well, and now that's. So you sold this other company, you worked for them for a little while, ended up saying, you needed to be entrepreneurial. And so you took a little bit of time off, discovered yourself a little bit.
Yeah. And took a little sabbatical.
And then decided, okay, now it's time to do something else. And so that's Lonocode.
That's Lonocode. Yeah. And it was really started this with another friend of mine. And he called me probably after I was off for 6 months and started throwing these ideas by me.
Yeah.
Hey, do you know anything about low code? I didn't really know much about it. I threw some buzzwords out there, make me, thought I was smart. He's like, no, we're talking about something else. And so he got me interested in that.
Oh, he called you out on it, man.
Oh, he did. Totally. Yeah. And then so I started deep diving into this, what we call low code, no code industry, and fell in love with it. And going back, if there's any techies out here, they'll remember in the early 1990s, Windows 3.1 came out, Visual Basic 3 came out. If you were a developer back then, and it changed software development. So before that, everything was really hard. It was we wrote a lot of C. Building code was difficult. Yeah. Visual Basic made it really, really easy.
Okay.
I like that because my goal the whole time wasn't to, be cool and write something really hard and show people, hey, I did this thing that was really hard. I like solving problems.
Right.
And what Visual Basic allowed us to do is solve business problems faster.
Yep.
And what I've discovered the last couple of years is there's some new platforms out there that they do the same thing in modern cloud-based software. We call it SaaS, software as a service. Yep. It's the same type of thing. They make it way, way easier. We can develop things in, 20% of the time of a normal, software development shop would.
And that's the key. That's where there's a big business or a model for what you're doing, because now you can be quick to service for small, mid-sized companies, even larger companies as well, really.
Even larger companies, and my big thing is I've always, I should say people from other countries they're just as smart as we are. A lot of them are smarter, I'm sure they are, and I'm sure they code just fine, but it drives me crazy in the United States. We have companies that send their code out overseas and have it developed.
Yeah.
The countries that you wouldn't trust for anything else, but you'll have them write your most important software.
Oh, yeah.
That drives me crazy.
Yeah. Because what else could be embedded in that, right?
Right.
From a cybersecurity risk perspective.
Right.
Yeah.
But they do it at a cost that's, is so cheap that you almost get forced into doing, especially when private equity comes in and, like that, they want you to build things faster and cheaper.
Right.
What we discovered is we can do this with resources right here, pretty much in the Midwest, nice. St. Louis. And I mean, we do have, some people outside of St. Louis as well, but they're, they're US based and pay people a really nice wage. People make good money that work for us. And they, they get to do what they like, and we're competitive.
Yeah.
And I take pride in that.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. And I think your solutions are also faster to get from end to end, right? Because it's
100%.
From what I've gathered, just in us, writing and just chatting and stuff, you developed your solutions. Most of the time when you do implementations of systems, there's a lot of, discovery and all these different phases. You're doing things where you're actually seeing things a little bit more in real time as well. A lot more agile. So a lot of people use that buzzword of agile. I think you take it to that really next level.
Yeah. And what agile really is, it means that you're not just developing fast, but you're changing fast and you're delivering value all the time.
Yeah.
A lot of times you'll go to a company and you want, we specialize in mobile apps. We can build any app, but we're really good at building mobile apps. And, if you go to somebody and want a mobile app built, it's going to be 6 months to a year. You're going to be paying hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
We'll come back in. We'll do that same project in a quarter.
Wow.
We'll knock it out with one person building it.
Yeah.
One person.
Which means it's one person to talk to. It's a much more strategic conversation because I would think that most coding people, and I'm generalizing here, a lot of coding people. Are there a lot of coding people that talk strategy and talk about business development and how it's supposed to really work? I would think communication is probably not most people's strong suit there.
Pure engineers, no, they don't. Yeah. And it's not that they can't, they probably don't like to, they like their job. They like to build things. It's what engineers like to do. Yeah. It's not that they can't, but why would they when they can, make a really good living doing what they love.
Right.
So I think it's, a little bit more of that. This, back on the code thing, what we produce and how quick we do it is, it's phenomenal. It's way, way faster than, what could be done before. And it's not, we didn't design this and build it. It's the low code platforms that we.
Gotcha. Well, and I mean, reality is time is money in many respects when it comes to these kinds of projects. Right. And if you're working in an inefficient way today, becoming more efficient saves you time quicker. So.
Yes. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. That's the key is people come to us and we work with a lot of smaller companies. Yeah. I love working with smaller companies. Bigger companies are great because of course they've got more money.
Yeah. Bigger projects,
bigger projects, bigger teams in, but people come to us because they just can't afford to write $1 million check to have something built.
Right.
It's just not possible.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty common with small businesses.
Absolutely.
I don't have very many friends that would write $1 million check, for a piece of software to be written.
No, maybe for a cool bike though.
Yeah. Well, that would be different. Yeah. I'd for beers and bikes, I'd probably write a lot of code.
That's yeah. Well, not $1 million. There's a few more zeros on that, but right now the people that own the bike shops that we shop at are like, oh, hey, yeah, I could get you $1 million bike.
Yeah.
So all right. So enjoying it, obviously, you're good. This is a little bit more. You're really much more involved in this on a day to day as well.
Oh yeah,
because you're coding too.
I'm coding it. I mean, every day. Not many days go by where I don't code. In fact, I did something really dumb the last month. I built our website myself.
Oh wow!
Talk about a waste of money.
Yeah.
I mean, what was I thinking? I have no idea why I did it myself, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So, and I know what would happen is if I gave it to somebody else, I would end up spending so much time,
Well, I'm glad you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know what the heck to do there. So I have a wonderful group that I work with and they give me my ideas there. They make me better in that way. So,
but like you are with taxes, don't ask me to do your website. Just like you're going to say, don't ask me to do your taxes. I can, but no way am I going to do it.
Fair enough. Yeah. We got to think about those kind of things. You got to stay in your lane and you got to bring in the right experts to help you from a strategic place with where you're missing. Right. I think that's the key of any business owner. You got to know where your strengths are. You got to play to those strengths and you got to bring in support teams to help you.
Yeah. And you got to take risk.
100%.
I mean, that's, what you're doing the whole time is you're always taking risk. And, on that is, probably some of the best advice I ever got was, you really just have to tie a knot and hang on. It's nothing's going to happen.
You said that to me a few times. Yeah. I always thought that was your quote.
No,
man. See,
somebody else told me, but I'm sure they heard it.
Well,
before.
I quote you as saying it. So
good
for what it's worth.
Just put my name on it.
Well, that's
absolutely.
Perfect. You get royalties and go from there.
Yeah, you liked it. I get paid for that?
I don't think so. I don't know. We can work on that. But all right. So Cap, people that need software development, need what you do, looking for an agile design to help them become more efficient themselves. How can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, best way to get a hold of us is just jump on our website.
All your contact information's right there.
Yeah, all contact. You can just fill in the contact form, LONOCODE.io. That's the weird thing. It's not .com, it's .io.
.io.
.com was taken.
That's okay.
I can't buy it from them. I can't even get the people to respond to me.
Ugh.
Yeah. Right.
It's okay. In today's world, does that really matter? You click on a hyperlink anyway, right?
Probably, yeah.
Search it up.
Matter. Right.
Chris Caplinger, Lonocode. All right, so we're going to go ride some bikes today. Where are we hitting?
I think we're going to Quail Ridge, right?
I like it. We used to build some trails out at Quail Ridge. They've done quite a different take on things out there now. So we're going to get to take the tour, a little reminiscing as well. We used to do a lot of Thanksgiving Day rides out there.
That was, yeah.
So that's how it all started, the annual Turkey Day.
Annual Turkey Day ride was there all the time.
It was fun.
Yeah, that was a great time.
Yeah. Well, we'll go check it out. Quail Ridge, St. Charles County Parks. We should give a little bit of a shout out. They do some great work in this area.
They
wonderful trails.
Fantastic. That's really the best mountain bike trails in the area. Really are in St. Charles County. So big thanks to them.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So Cap, thank you so much for coming on. Absolutely. I appreciate it. You've been a loyal listener since the beginning here, and we appreciate your support here. And all of a sudden Cap's like, hey, we could get on and I could talk about Lonocode. I'm like, yeah, you can.
Yeah.
So,
but you know what we didn't do? I never really didn't get to any good stories about you. So we'll have to do this again.
Do you have a story you need to share?
Well, I was trying to head there when you were talking about risk. And, the one that was coming to my mind, I was like, I have got to share this today was, but it wasn't me taking risk. It was you taking risk.
Okay.
And I remember the big risk you took. Maybe, I don't know if you knew it was a risk at the time.
Yeah.
We're in Keystone, Colorado.
Yep.
Going down this run called Starfire.
Yeah.
This thing is steep. It's a black, double black, but it is, it's like vertical.
You can get some speed on
You're moving when you get to the bottom.
Yep.
What's interesting is at the end of the day, there's a line down there for the lift.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, there's nobody really in the line. You really can't see it. So they have these orange ropes that go across.
Yeah.
But with the snow, you can't really see that there's a rope there.
No, you can't.
You're flying down towards the rope.
I know where this is going.
Last minute.
Oh, boy.
Last minute, you're realizing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took too big a risk.
Yeah.
There's a rope there. I have to make a right turn.
I was in trouble.
But what you didn't do, you didn't look right quick enough.
Yeah.
You made a right turn. And you hit that guy coming into the ski line.
Poor guy. I'm not a small guy, folks.
Oh my gosh. That guy landed on his back and he was, lose your breath knocked out of you.
Yeah. It was a rough day. It was a rough day.
Yeah.
I felt really bad. I apologized pretty heavily on that one. Yeah.
That was all.
I don't do these things anymore. You get older, you get wiser, you realize you got stuff to do the next day. I think that's the biggest reason. You go, you know what? I got stuff to do.
Well, we got to go. Yeah, we got to make a living.
Yeah, right?
Right.
So we know we have to answer some emails when we get home off the slopes. We're going to have some fun. We're going to eat some hot wings, have a beer or so. But I got stuff to do the next morning.
I do too.
So, all right, let's go ride some bikes, Kev. Thanks for coming in, buddy.
Sure, Ben.
All right, it's really cool when you get to have your good friend come in and be a guest on your show. He didn't make fun of me too much. He's got plenty of other stories. But let's talk about the risk side of things, right? Risk and risk management is incredibly important. As a business owner, our biggest asset is typically our business. And if it's not our business in its terms of its net worth, it's us as individuals within our business being able to support our families with the revenue we generate. So we need to make sure we protect those things. Just like any other asset, you have to think about those protection services that are available to make sure you can keep doing what you're doing. Risk is important. When you take a business, when you own a business, when you manage your own business, you have to make sure you take the right amount of risk, and you have to be comfortable with that, because you know if you don't take that risk, usually nothing happens, right? Sometimes things just fall in your lap, but it is very, very rare. You have to have that sink or swim mentality. And that is something that my buddy Cap has really helped me along the way as well. At some point in time, you look back and you go, gosh, you should have done this a long time ago. But it takes that person giving you that guidance, giving that little final push out of the nest to go, you know what? If you don't do this now, you never are going to. And you got to have that mentality. And some of that does have a risk component to it. But without that risk, you usually don't get that reward. And it is incredibly rewarding being able to have your own business. You got to make sure you take the right level of risk. Don't always bet the farm, right? You don't want to bet everything. You want to make sure you make calculated risks. But the cool thing is you're in control. And when you're in control, you're the CEO, you're the decision maker. You can make calculated risks that fit your lifestyle, your comfort zone, and quite frankly, your strengths. And I think that's the key thing that I see when I talk to entrepreneurs. Every business owner knows their strengths, knows their weaknesses, knows when they need to bring people in, and knows what they need to do to excel. They might just need a little push, right? And that's okay. So if you need to have a conversation about what it takes, what risks are out there, and what your business is worth to you and your family, give us a call, pay us a visit. We're happy to have a conversation. Because after all, that's what's important, having that key conversation and making sure you can enjoy the lifestyle you deserve today and for tomorrow as well. So tune in each and every week, Serenity Wealth Now Radio, or check us out, SerenityWealthNow.com.
Serenity Now! This is Serenity Wealth Now with Chris Cooper. Request a free copy of Chris's latest book, The New Holistic Retirement, by visiting SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.